Hey B, do you know what a touch me not is?
Shit, that's the nigga that only want the pussy licked, huh?
Might be. Whether you're listening for the first time or already a part of our community, I'm your host JJ, and this is another episode of Unstrapped the Podcast. Today's episode features a guest of the podcast. Our word of the day is touch me not. Our topic of the day is serving our community. So unstrap, sit back, and relax. Let's get into it. A little bit about our guests. If you've been following us on social media, you already know this podcast has an open door policy when it comes to inviting on guests. I'm fortunate to be meeting someone from the Greek life for the first time today. B is someone I reached out to on social media in hope they would be open to being a guest on the podcast, and now here she is. B, let our listeners know a little bit more about yourself. What do you identify as?
I'm a stud. Uh, my pronouns are she and her.
Awesome.
She, her, hers.
Okay. And you got straight into like what your preferred pronouns are. I know that you have a business you run. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how people can reach out to you?
So I am the founder of a Greek letter organization, and that is Gamma Sigma Xi Fraternity Incorporated. We are an organization for masculine, centered, and trans men. Um, you can reach me. My Facebook is Sabrina Dixon. If you want to just go straight to the org page, it's Gamma Sigma Xi across all platforms. But if you just were looking for me, you know what I'm saying? I'm Sabrina Dixon on Facebook, on Instagram. My name is Roux Destine. That's ROUX underscore BEST, the number one, the letter N.
All right. Now, last question, at least for this section. Let our listeners know, are you team strapped or unstrapped?
Oh, definitely Team Strap, bitch.
Let's go. All right, everyone. Our podcast is new, so in these first couple of episodes, I definitely want to make sure we're all on the same page as to what you're going to expect. We're about to jump into our introduction section / our word of the day. This is a time for us to kind of learn a little bit more about lesbian terminology, if you will, because I know when I came out, no one gave me a manual on any of this stuff. So I'm still learning. And depending on who my guest is, they might be learning a little bit too. So like we already said, the word of the day today is touch me not. You already gave us your definition for it. Here's the definition I was able to find about it. The official definition is someone who does not want to be touched sexually, often emotionally, or sensually. Um, what are your thoughts on that, B?
Um, honestly, I kind of feel like depending on your age, you know what I'm saying, and your generation, you kind of look at that differently, right? So I was born in the 80s, and I kind of think that if maybe not all of us, but a lot of us may have started out that way, even if that's not what we called it. You know what I'm saying? It was just more sort of mindset because we didn't really have masculine or centered representation growing up. You know what I mean? So all we really had to see was niggas for real.
Yeah.
And that's what you try to embody. You feel what I'm saying? Like, yeah, no, yeah, niggas they like oral. You know, they like to have oral sex and all of that. But that's not what you see. You see a woman walk up to a man and if she touches ass, he gonna get upset type shit.
Yeah.
So that's how you learn to react to that. You know what I mean? But I think that as we grow and mature and grow into our own sexuality and be comfortable with ourselves, we start to realize like, okay, well, I'm a woman too. You know what I'm saying? If you identify as such, you know what I mean, then, it make it a lot easier to transition into, all right, yeah, I like that shit. Not for me. I always did. Not necessarily always. I would say some stuff I liked and some stuff I did. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was just personal preference. But I think it was more so like now they don't have to feel like that. Because if you was born in 1999 or 2005 even. You feel me? You have a whole different perspective. You have a whole different outlook on it because you was allowed to see different things. You were able to see different things.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that perspective. It's interesting. W- You literally hit the nail on the head on like what I learned about that word while growing up, right? Because touch me not is not a new term, but it's evolved, right? It's evolved over time. And so, like,
Mm,
when I think about a touch me not now, and let's be clear, I do not want anyone who feels like, hey, I am a touch me not or I was a touch me not to feel bad about that. It shouldn't be a way to attack each other. It should be an empowerment, right? Something that, like, hey, whatever you identify as, whatever labels you go by, you own that, right? So you should feel empowered by these things.
right.
In my in my perspective, when I think of touch me not, the new term, I think about people who already know going into relationships, especially when you identify as a masculine lesbian or a stud or something very close to it, and you just don't want to deal with people who, for lack of better terms, aren't experienced, right? It's not that people don't want
Mhm.
to interact with certain people in certain ways sexually. Sometimes it's, hey, I've been there, done that. When I mess with a femme, I'm not talking about myself, but I'm talking about a lot of people like me. When I mess with a femme, I'd rather not even deal with that, right? I'd rather be the person that dominates in that space. And that's okay for people. There is nothing wrong with that. Just like the opposite is true. Like if if you're not a touch me eyed and you're the opposite, you're like, hey, like I want just as much pleasure as the next person. That's cool too. But that's what I think about when I think about that word.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, right. Like I said, I think it just all depends. And that's a aspect of it too. Like, right, I didn't been through this shit. I didn't been there, done that, got the t-shirt. You know what I mean? So I ain't even trying to do all that. Like that, bitch, I'm trying to get money. I'm tired. I didn't mean to work all day type shit. Like,
I'm
yeah,
there
it's the
with you.
thing. But
But yeah, let's keep this conversation going. Right now, we're in the section called temperature check. And once again, if you're new, I'm just gonna let you know this is a time when I get to really tap in with whoever is the guest for the day, and the guest gets to tap in to whatever I'm thinking about and going through at that time. In our community, we should have more conversations where we just genuinely check in with each other. We've been told by society itself that we don't do that. So here's a chance for us to start doing that. So, B, what's been on your mind nowadays, unrelated to the podcast venture?
um, I mean, honestly, I low key got the holiday blues, bro. Like,
Really?
I'm from Louisiana. Yeah, I reside in DC. Um, my entire family is in Louisiana. I am married, so my wife and I are here. My daughter is here. And so it's kind of just us, you know what I mean, and the holidays or, and all of that. So yeah, it get kind of, I don't want to say lonely because I don't be lonely, but I also, I low key be grieving. Like I'm grieving, you know what I'm saying? I lost three siblings in the last few years. And so that gets kind of hectic around the holidays, you know what I'm saying? And all that. But outside of that, like when I'm not in my little holiday funk, I mean, shit's great. Outside of that, shit's great. Like I said, I am married. I just got married in
Congrats.
January. So I've been trying to ride that high for as long as possible. Thank you. Thank you. Um, with that being said, even with me feeling how I feel for the holidays, I feel very loved and very supported. And so I couldn't ask to be in a better situation.
I love that for you, and I'm sorry you're feeling the holiday blues. I feel like I think you're maybe like one of five people to ever say something like that to me. Um, I feel like being a New Yorker, we don't have like holiday blues. We just miss consistent weather for a certain amount of time. I'm not gonna lie, like we're less concerned about the holidays themselves or more concerned about what's happening outside, how long until we can go back outside, etc. But definitely take care of yourself. And what I mean by that is like lean into the things that make you happy to the best of your control. You know what I mean? I subscribe to therapy a lot. And that helps me deal with certain things, but I also think about all the other things that make me happy when I'm not feeling great. um, I'm definitely one of those people that I will just go out and do something random, like a random party, movie, karaoke, or even like go get a little massage or something like that. But just the little things that make me happy, I know what that
Right.
list
Love a good
is.
karaoke night.
Yeah, do know what the little things are, and then make sure you're doing that on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do. It's just more so, like I said, being so far from home and then knowing that, it is the holidays, my mom's feeling away. I'm not close to her to like help her have a good day type shit. So it just be, shit like that. My nieces and nephews, 'cause like I said, my sister, I had my two sisters and one of my brothers are deceased. And so my nieces and nephews call me all the time to like confide, you know what I'm saying, and all of that. So it becomes a lot. But I have my turns, I get my release. And so, you know, it makes me feel better. I'm never too bombarded with shit. Like I don't allow myself to be full of other people's shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
right. I take the time and decompress from all of that. I mean, but I don't know, like being outside in DC is boring.
I, it's funny. I go to DC
It is.
to get out of the regular routine of New York City, but I can understand what you're talking about because I go there for trips. I don't go there to like live.
Yeah, this shit boring. Like you would think that it's so many black people in DC that, and don't get me wrong, all right, I don't want to say this because in my mind, manifestation is a thing. The world is going to hear this, right? So I'm never going to say that DC doesn't have culture because it does. Um, but being from a place like New Orleans, it just doesn't have enough culture for me.
Right. Right.
Like it's too many black people in the city of DC for the only thing that y'all like. In my mind, DC is known for brunch.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Like if you coming to DC to do anything, you coming to brunch. You know what I'm saying? And I that's it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm from a city that never sleep, like New York City. So I can't. I don't know. They don't have enough culture. I know they got the go go and they do all that and all that, but it just ain't. It ain't enough.
I
You
I
know.
definitely understand what you're talking about because I feel like the people that I've met in life that have lived in DC but they lived anywhere else in the US are usually kind of bored. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with DC. It's just I feel like DC is about business. When I think about DC, I think about our government buildings. I think about people going there to start their lives in some type of civil job or something like that. And then there's other businesses that support that. So, like, you're not alone in that experience. And if you're a listener from DC, please let us know what you do out there because I would be curious what people do for fun, how people keep themselves busy. And even if the answer is we literally go to a different state, I totally get it. I would just love to know. Um, and let me jump in just for 1 second because I know today is about B, but I just want to kind of give people a quick heads up what's on my mind right now. Um, Back in 2023, I may have mentioned this already in a different episode, but I was a part of a major layoff, right? I work in the tech industry, and there's no secret that the industry has been laying off people by the thousands. And I'm just want to take a second to say that if you're listening to this right now and you fall under this category of people who have been hit with the layoffs, regardless of your industry, my heart goes out to you because I went through that experience for a year and I'm only bringing it up now because, um, being that it's springtime, I'm just trying my best to get out of that mentality of, okay, I've been laid off. What's next? I'm now embracing a new mentality, which is like, okay, I have a great job. I work with great people. I actually am going to go on a trip in a few days to San Francisco to, hang out with the team. I'm just going to stay in my gratefulness. I'm not going to stay in my fear. And I'm only saying that out loud because there's so many people that have gone through what I've gone through. And I just want to remind you, if you are that person, like, it's okay if you're feeling a way about your current situation. Either you're not working or you have a new job and it's not quite what you want it to, or maybe you have a new job and it's exactly what you want, but you're scared because layoffs have scarred you. You're not alone. Just treat yourself. What I was telling B, just have a list of things that make you happy and keep chipping away at that and get yourself in a positive mind state. So when you do show up for work, when you do show up for your career, you show up regardless of what you've gone through in the past. And I promise you that's going to make you a stronger person and probably even better at what you do day to day. It'll probably make you better at that, right? Believe me when I say that. So just want to take a second to say that. But yeah,
That's what's up.
I appreciate that. We're gonna jump into our next segment called Doom Scrolling. This is just a random moment to have fun, whether we talk about some stuff we've seen on social media or if we, talk about what's happening on the news. B told me they have an interesting kind of timeline or algorithm going on with their social media. B, what do you like watching on your social media pages? And do you want to tell the listeners about something you've seen that sparked your interest or you thought was funny?
First, let me start off and ask you this. And to you and to anybody out there listening, this is just open-minded conversation, no disrespect to anyone, how they feel, what they believe, what they love, none of that. I love all y'all. I mean, no disrespect. Just open dialogue, right? But let me ask you this. The Bible says God created the heavens and the earth, right?
Yep.
Who created the rest of it?
I am not sure. And I don't mean that in a funny
So
way too. I always sound like I'm like cracking a joke, but I'm not. I genuinely don't know.
no, I'm laughing because right, you know what I mean? Like, so my timeline right now is full of like, well, it's full of like the ice wall shit, flat earth shit, right? And 6070. I'm sure he's been on everybody's For You page if you have a TikTok or whatever. Um, but Unc be like really wilding out and he be spazzing and crashing out, but boy, it be making sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if you really sit down and think about what he's saying, boy, it be making sense. So he got me going down this rabbit hole of the whole the God that we have, you know what I'm saying, the God of the Bible and the firmament, and then basically how he was put here and then put under the firmament and then created all of this. And so there's, I don't want to say a woman, I guess an entity, um, by the name of Sophia, who blew life into this earth because she saw he created basically earth is a replica of some of another place. You know what I'm saying? So he was acting out woo woo, she casted him down here. You feel me? This is what I'm watching.
Right.
Not saying this is what I'm watching. Um so Sophia cast him down here. He creates all the stuff that earth got underneath the firmament, and he creates Adam, but Adam ain't alive. And so she sees that God created all this stuff that replicated what they had, and she saw it was good. So she blew life into Adam. You feel me? And so that's how all that ended up coming about. But even deeper than that, like who West Sophia came from and all that, I just been down that rabbit holes. And I blame that shit on 607 up.
Okay. So, out of curiosity, when you're going through these rabbit holes, right? Is it educational for you? Are you like seeking I guess like a change in spirituality. I'm curious as to like what your mindset is going into, all the conspiracy theories you're seeing on social media.
Um, I'm not necessarily looking for a change in spirituality. I feel like my spirituality has always been very open and very vast. Like I believe in everything. Um, in a sense of there's no such thing as like you're imagining something that's fake.
Right.
If you can imagine something that's real, you know what I mean? And I do believe that all of these different religions, they're the same. They're just parallel of each other because they're for different cultures or they came from different places. Um, I do feel like there is a form of the Bible that is the truth. But I do feel like it's been doctored up to be manipulated. But at the end of it, I feel like the word is true because just like the movie, they got to tell us the truth, even if they put different characters in it or give them, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the storyline gonna be the same. Like it's something about the Bible that's the truth, even though there's things about it that's lies. You feel me? And so I just look at the world in that perspective. Like I look at the world like as real as shit get, this shit fake. And as fake as this world is, the shit get real. You know what I mean? Like, so I believe in everything. So I'm not really searching for a change in spirituality. I think more so um I look at everything and I when I take things and I take them in for clarity or um whatever. Like some things just don't. I hear them and I'm like, nah, that doesn't resonate to me. You know what I mean? So I'm not really looking for a change. I think I just like the different perspectives because I feel like everything is true all at the same time.
Right. Here's where my mind is going. So like there's two different things going on, right? Conspiracy theories in general, and then there's like the topic of religion. So like when it comes to the topic of religion, I'm not any one I'm not associated with any one religion. And I don't want that to be confused with atheism. Um, I'm someone who was technically raised under more than one religion. And I was born and raised in Queens, New York, which is one of the most diverse places on earth. And so all of my childhood friends had different religions. And just because someone had a different religion didn't mean that I treated them differently. If anything, I was more curious to learn about the different religions. I think because of that curiosity, I've never settled, and I probably will one day. I feel like as I get older, there might be a moment where I'm like, aha, this is me, right? It might be that I choose a religion or I don't choose any of them, but I will always be curious and I will always be open-minded and I always have an open heart to the world around us. I do love the journey that people go on finding their religion, and getting into it. Like I love that. And as long as that's kind of where people are putting their energy into, I'm here for it. If that makes sense, right? Um, Now, when it comes to conspiracy theories, I kind of move around it in the same way I do religion. Not to say religion is a conspiracy theory. Please do not kill me. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I say weird things at weird times. So it just happens to be that's the sentence that came out my mouth. Now, conspiracy theories, I love them. I love them because the human brain is so complex and we do so much with it, even if we aren't aware of it. And I'm one of those people, like, I don't know about you, but I love Reddit as a platform, right? Like, not TikTok, not Instagram, but when it comes to learning random stuff about what's going on with
Right.
people's
Let me go
lives,
see what they saying already.
because it's raw.
Yeah.
Reddit is raw. And so, like, I will go down the rabbit hole on conspiracy theories. And my favorite one was about lizard people, right? And I won't go into all the specifics on this podcast, but the only reason why I'm bringing it up is because I remember reading about
The reptilian.
yeah, the reptilian folk, right? I'm not here to tell you you're right or wrong. I'm just saying it's under the conspiracy theory. I went to a bar in Brooklyn. I was with my boy Bobby, and we were just chilling, you know, just having some beers. And I remember this person called me over, and I'm like, good vibes, let's talk. And then they tell me that they're a lizard person, right? For lack of better words, if there's a politically correct way to say that, do let me know, but I don't know it. They tell me that, and I'm like, cool. I'm not sitting up here giving you a side eye. I'm not going, what's wrong with you? Cool. So what's up? Like, tell me more. And they were shocked to see that I was like, tell me more. My boy Bobby, though, I know he wanted to kill me because he's like, don't you dare do that. But it was too late. So I was like, tell me more. That person at a bar whipped out a whole laptop and showed me a whole presentation. And I watched as my boy is standing on the corner, just holding his head with his hands, going, why did you do this? JJ, why did you do this? But I was genuinely interested, and I learned so much. And do you know what I learned more than anything out of that presentation? That person, right, regardless of what they identify as, seems really cool to me. There was nothing malicious or mean or devilish or whatever words you want to use to describe someone you don't want in your life. I didn't get that energy from this person. I think they believe what they believe, and clearly enough to whip out a laptop out of nowhere, because I don't even remember seeing a bag. Okay, that seems real magical, but they they were mad cool though. Like, they were really cool, and I'm pretty sure my boy Bobby at the end, by probably like the 30-minute mark, was like, I'm pulling you out of this, right? Like, I don't want you to become crazy. But I'm like, yo, I'm having a good time with bro. I really am, like, genuinely, because they are being a nice person to me, so I'm being a nice person to them. And I got time. All I'm doing is sitting here drinking beers and talking
If
to
you
you.
could think about something, if you could think about something, that shit can happen. If you can imagine something, it exists. Like, it ain't, this world is a big place. You
Yeah,
feel me? Like, this shit is phenomenal, and it's not good or bad. It's just like you said, right? No matter how this person or this entity or whatever it is identifies, you didn't get a negative vibe from that person. The frequency wasn't off between you and that individual.
right. And I appreciate you.
You know what I'm saying? So,
I appreciate that you peep that, because that's my point, right? Like, I just met you, right? We spoke, and I'm gonna be very literal, everyone listening. We spoke for no more than an hour before this, and yet we're vibing out. Why? Because it's just human to human, genuine interaction to genuine interaction. I want to see this more. I want conversations like me and you to happen more in our community and out in the broader world that we live in.
yeah, I mean, it happens. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things to do. You said you're new to the Greek world.
Yeah,
Um, with that being said, I mean, you'll see, getting out in the community, making, you know, an impact and putting forth the effort to build rapport with different individuals. You know what I mean? It's very beneficial, and it'll be very beneficial to you. You know what I mean? Like, just being in the Greek world itself brings benefit because it opens you up to a whole new network of people that you wouldn't have had close access to, you know?
right.
So,
And networking is great, whether you're doing it socially or for your business. Like, it's good coming together and forming connections and building communities. Like, it's not easy, but it's a part of our human experience. And so, like, why not entertain it and get the most out of it? Yeah.
right.
But yeah, no, I appreciate you diving into kind of conspiracy theories. Funny enough, I never even thought that that would even hit the podcast. So this is what I'm talking about, making sure that I have different people speaking on different things throughout, the life of our, podcast, if you will. It means the world to me, and I know it's going to mean the world to someone listening. So I appreciate you being raw and transparent about what you're checking out on the interwebs.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, we're gonna jump into the main topic, the main segment. Aight, so boom. And if you're listening, once again, I just want to keep breaking down these segments for you because I know these are the early episodes and I want to make sure you understand the flow. Aight, so boom is a saying that happens a lot in New York City. Where it came from, who knows? But it's the way that some of us naturally start off storytelling. It sounds a little crazy, but depending on where you are in the world, you might have your own version of Aight, so boom. So Aight, so boom, this episode is going to be about serving our community. And so B is going to let us into their world once more and, talk about what's on their mind when it comes to that topic. And then if there's some time after, I'll jump in with my own story. B, you got this.
All right. I mean, well, for me, so like I said, I am the founder of a Greek letter organization, Gamma Sigma Xi Fraternity Incorporated. We are community service based. Service is my number one pillar for my organization. Um, I mean, service for me means so many things. I think just in my life in general, the hand that I was dealt, I had the privilege. I'll say I have the privilege to be able to learn from good and bad examples in life. I recently lost three siblings, as I had previously stated. One of them was a drug addict, and two of them were alcoholic. But within that, having to see the struggle that came along with that, not just with them, but their now their new community. You know, the people that they surround themselves with is seeing the homelessness and seeing, the abuse and all of that just kind of it pulled on my heartstrings, I guess. It kind of catapulted me into this mind of service, service, service. I mean, and then also um knowing that even though my siblings were doing what they were doing, going through what they were going through, they were amazing people. They were still great friends. They were great siblings. They were great sons, daughters, parents. And so it just kind of showed me that, hey, people have their issues and they go through their things, but they still deserve to be treated with respect. They still deserve to be loved on. They deserve to have the opportunities that other people have, if not that, just the resources, if nothing else. You know what I mean? And so in 2019, I was hit by a car from behind and I suffered from temporary paralysis. They had to go in my neck and push my throat over and fix my spine in four different places, um, just to be able to utilize my limbs and shit. So um, after that, in being nursed back to health after those few months of being in the hospital and being in rehab and all of that, my alcoholic sister actually was the one who took care of me. Um, like wiped my ass at 3 in the morning type shit because I couldn't couldn't do it.
Damn.
You feel me? And so it really showed me like it don't even really matter what the fuck these people got going on. Like they still love for real. You know what I'm saying? They still care for real. And so if they can not be out in the street doing what they're doing because they inside taking care of me, then I could be out in the street taking care of them. And that's just how I looked at it. So that gave me, what I needed to want to be a part of Greek life and make that move to become who I am.
Okay. So why Greek life versus like a social club or maybe just starting like some other type of nonprofit? Like what about Greek life was like the, I guess, differentiator, if you will?
That aspect of family, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, you have family everywhere you go. If you always at work, so you have a work family. You know what I mean? Type shit. But when you have an organization or a situation, if you will, that is presented in a format of family, it's a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood, it's your brother, it's your sister. You know what I'm saying? And so I had, like I said, I lost three siblings. So that's what I was, at the time, I had lost both of my sisters. My brother was still alive. Um, and so I think what I was looking for was sister. But I am a masculine centered individual. You know what I'm saying? I'm masculine presenting. And so in my life, that would had been brothers. And so because of just the presentation of the family aspect of Greek life was what directed me that way. Because I wanted to serve, but I also wanted the family.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I appreciate you sharing that. I wonder if your journey is more difficult because of how you present, or like I'm just curious about, are there any hurdles you face as it relates to how you present, building this organization, or just running a business in general?
Honestly, no, because believe it or not, there's so many of us who are looking for something. You know what I mean? And they don't always know what it is, or even that they're looking until they stumble upon something that finds them. And so within starting my organization, I've had tremendous turnouts so far. So I only started last year. I crossed my first line in January of this year.
Love that.
I had my second line crossed in Tennessee at the end of March. I got a summer line. We got Destin, Florida coming up. You feel me? Anybody out there, if y'all want to come through, I got LGBT Greek weekend, not LGBT Greek weekend, because that's something else. It's actually just a Sizzler summer splash, but it's the LGBT Greeks, myself and a couple of people who I collaborate with, who support me. I always support out there in the Greek world. So that's July 4th weekend. I have summer probate coming up. And then I also have fall session going on that I'm currently still recruiting for. If anybody out there is looking for a family or want to check us out, like I said, it's Gamma Sigma Xi across all platforms. Do have a website that's Gamma Sigma Xi Fraternity Incorporated. Gamma Sigma Xi Fraternity.org, excuse me. You got speaking kind of fast over here, but
Nah, you're good. You're
um,
good.
I mean, there's so many people looking. It's so many people looking. Is I get interest applications that I don't know nothing about. I get people writing me that go to the spam email. People writing me that go to my spam messages on Facebook, on TikTok, or So it hasn't really been hard. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, yeah, there's organizations, but everybody needs a home, and every home isn't going to have the same thing to offer.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just got to do your research and pay attention and watch them and see what they're doing, see how they are in the community, or whatever it is that's attracting them to you. You got to make sure that's a good fit. But I haven't faced any true adversities, I'll say, yet. I mean, yeah, there's people who show interest. They come, they start the process, they don't finish. But that's any organization, whether you be B9, whether you be non-collegiate, whether you be LGBT. So
All right. All right. So, I'm just gonna also kind of jump into my little story as well, if you don't mind, and if there's anything you're curious about, ask
cool.
away. I'm super transparent over here. Um, when I think about this topic of serving our community, I think about the wild adventures I was on in my late teens and early 20s. I don't hide from the podcast or the guests that I was born and raised in the projects. And in my case, I'm specifically referring to NYCHA. There are different types of programs out there for people who are, looking for cheap, affordable housing. And in my case, I specifically was just in the NYCHA programs. Why that's
Mhm.
important? At least back in the day, like I was born in 93. So, right, I was raised in the 90s. When I was growing up in NYCHA, we had all types of free programs funded by the city and government or whatever, where we just got to do really fun things, at least from the perspective of a kid. Like I would go to different theme parks or museums all the time. Like it was really on almost like a weekly basis, just something fun to do outside of the hood. And then if we were in the hood, we had a community center. And this idea is we had a building with, different rooms. Maybe there's a game room, there's an art room kind of vibe, you know what I mean? And we would be able to go there, right? It didn't matter what age you were, like you could just go there and you just stay busy. And for people who don't come from neighborhoods like this, that concept might sound strange, but I think it's super important to set you up so you understand what I am about to talk about when I talk about service. In my hood, if people had nothing to do, this is when we had the highest crime rates. It didn't matter if people didn't have things to do for a day or for a week or for a month. When people, especially young, African American and Latino children, especially ones in poverty, when we have absolutely nothing to do and we have no money to spend outside of, our situations, sometimes bad things happen. And that's not exclusive to us. That's all humans, right? People get left to do nothing and they can't,
Right.
they just want to do something. And so they're just like, what do I do with this energy? And sometimes good things come from that and sometimes bad things come from that. And it's usually bad when it's in a impoverished neighborhood. Okay. My point is, growing up, this wasn't too big of an issue. Fast forward though, when I was leaving my teens, getting into my early 20s, almost all of these programs in my hood went away. Like the idea of leaving the neighborhood, non existent. The idea of going to a community center, they shut it down. Even the senior center got shut down. So it didn't matter what age you were. If you had time, let's say you weren't working or can't work or whatever the case is, if you were just stuck in the projects doing nothing and you have no money to do anything outside of the projects, you were just in a really bad space. And so it was important for me to try to bring back what I grew up with back to my community. So I decided to join my local board or whatever. Now, what the board does is they can actually put out those programs, but there's a lot of groundwork you got to do. And I can imagine, B, you understand what I mean by that, right? There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes down to do something basic. Like, let's take these kids out
Absolutely.
to, Six Flags. The most basic things in the world took so much work, and I was willing to do that. The problem I kept running into, I was doing it for about 2.5 years before I was just like, yeah, this isn't for me. Um, I was on a board. The average person on the board was around 40, probably like mid 40s to early 50s was the average age. And here I am. What am I like? 20? I don't know, like 19, 20, something like that. And I'm have all these great ideas. I have an idea of how I'm trying to push them, etc. And we're doing incredible things. The problem was they made me the vice president because of all the work. I was getting busy, right? I'm a New Yorker. I stay busy. I'm like, all right, let's get this done. Let's get this done. And I really hated those moments when I had to like show up as my authentic self, being a masculine lesbian, going and meeting with politicians, going and meeting with other community leaders. Because I always had to try harder to get my thoughts across the table simply because I had to get over that first barrier of, so what's up with you? I could always tell. I could always tell when I went up to somebody and they're more concerned about my appearance than anything. And it was so frustrating.
Right.
It was so frustrating because I'm not saying anyone said anything like rude to me per se. They might say something slight, You know what I mean? It might, test the waters, but I always knew what it was. It was like, it's not enough for me to be a human being who just wants to help other humans, at least with a certain experience. You're concerned about my sexuality and the way I present way more, and that's stopping us from connecting, if that makes sense. And so I did everything I could for about 2.5 years, and I decided to stop that and continue out the next several years. And something I still do to this day, I do random community service here and there, like the most random things all the time. I'm quick to donate for certain causes. And like I said, now I'm a part of Greek life. Community service is also a part of what we're doing. And so I'm like, I'm going to help out in other ways. Maybe one day in the future, I'll jump back into a discomfort and say, okay, let me be a face of something. But for right now, I'm not in a place where I kind of want to be the face of something. And the only thing people are concerned about is, so what are you doing in the bedroom? Because that's what it feels like sometimes. I'm not going to lie. That's how it feels. Yeah.
Right. When crazy thing is, they doing the same thing you do. Like, quiet as it's kept. Like, y'all do whatever y'all want to do at home. Y'all just, you know, it shouldn't matter. But I definitely understand the discomfort of it all. Um,
Yeah.
and just the unfairness of it. So in reality, like most times to have to walk into a room of some type of importance, being a masculine lesbian, you automatically feel at the bottom. So
Yeah.
I get that.
I think what I also love about what you're doing, at least in the Greek life, and like I said, this is not necessarily a Greek podcast, but this happens to be two Greeks talking to each other today. So that's what y'all gonna deal with today. But what I do love about the Greek life, especially the type of organizations we're a part of, um, I get to be in a place where when I do community service with, my brothers, we all identify as something in the queer, realm, right? Like whether we're lesbians, whether we're, transgender men, we're all in, the LGBTQIA plus space. And majority of us are people of color on top of that. I love that when we do things together, we get to represent ourselves as individuals, our group, right? But then we also get to represent the larger community. And I think that's going to help in its own way, I guess, with how anyone that's not in that space view us and treat us. I think that for sure is going to be the case. And so I can't wait to see our organizations grow and really expand and reach out to the rest of our community and say, okay, let's come together and change how we see each other, how we're seen by the world, how we treat each other, and how the world treats us. I can't wait to be a part of that.
Right. I mean, honestly, my opinion on that is unity is a powerful thing, right? And when you look at other ethnicities or other groups of people, right, in the world, there's always going to be something. I, I'll say unity is always going to be something that they each respect about each other. Like when shit going down in the black community, the black people gonna say one thing about the white people, they gonna stick together. They gonna, you know what I'm saying, well, who did who. So I think as a community and as a Greek community, when they do see us out in the community and they see us as a group and they see us branded together and banded together, um, it does create a room for respect. Even if they don't respect every single thing about us, it opens up the door for respect because they see that we stand together, that we do things together. You know what I mean? Like if there's a cause, we're gonna go and face that together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I do believe that putting on that hoodie, putting on your shirt, wearing that jacket or whatever, going out and doing that community service, um, and being in your community creates that respect. Cause it's something they ain't doing.
Right. I agree. I 100% agree. And like I said, I'm just looking forward to what our efforts are going to do for our future and the future of those around us. I think it's going to be dope. think it's gonna be dope.
This shit is gonna be tremendous. Just you having your podcast, right? And being open to reaching out to other individuals within the community and not knowing or caring whether they say yes or no. You know what I'm saying? But being willing to put yourself out there to open up your space to others is going to create so much change for you within your life, within your organization, and so much impact as well. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate that you
that's
see
all
the
you
vision.
really got to keep doing.
That's definitely the vision.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
just got to keep that hustle going. So like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to not only speak with me like right now, but speaking to me beforehand and just willing to take that chance on us as a podcast because I'm really trying hard to make sure that hey, if I'm going to give what I'm saying is the masculine and lesbian community a voice, it's not right unless I open that door. That's the only way it works. I don't care how hard that is, but the only way it's gonna work
I
is if I
agree.
open that door and say, "All right, broski, come on in, let's talk." And with that being said, thank you so much, B. I appreciate you as a guest, and hopefully you come back for another episode. It's been great hearing from you, and I can imagine there's
Oh
so
man,
much
we
more.
Greek cousins, man.
I'm here.
I done
I'm here
already
for
told
it.
you.
I'm already here for it. I can't wait to bring you back on if we get
Right.
the chance to. But for right now, I'm just going to be respectful of your time and just also respectful of the listener. We're about to wrap up the show right now. Like I said, today, our topic was serving our community. The word of the day was touch me not. We're keeping things moving here on the podcast. We're new. We have so much growing to do personally over here, but I'm so excited to go on that journey, as is with you. So thank you so much for your time, for listening. If you do want to kind of interact with the community, there's a couple of ways to do so. You can find us anywhere at Unstrapped the podcast, and it's the whole word, not a part of it. If you guys start looking up Unstrapped on random search engines, that's on you. All right, it's the whole thing. Unstrapped the podcast. You can see us anywhere. If you DM us and you ask us a question that you want to hear on the show, I'll actually ask it on the show. There's a segment I have yet to record yet called the Lost and Found segment. It's just for that. Any questions you have, any advice you want, you can hear it on the podcast. I do check my DMs, but do forgive me if it's not real time communication. I'm real slow with it. So give me some patience, but give us a DM. You'll hear your stuff on the pod. And if you want to be a guest, I'm serious. This is an open door policy. I do have a pre-screen that you do fill out because, I have to have some type of standard. But for the most part, this is open door. I want to hear your voice. Whether you are a masculine lesbian, let's be clear, I'm opening this up to the whole, queer community, the LGBTQIA plus community, and even to people who do not identify as any of those things. Why? Because I want you to be able to come up on this podcast and either talk about your experiences or ask about our experiences. I want us to build a community through this podcast. So, if you're with it, I'm with it. Until then, talk to you later, fam. We'll meet you at a new episode. Check us out on social media. We're wrapping up the show. All right, let me stop talking.